Last month I went to my engagement party. And his mother stood up in front of everyone and said I was a greedy little leech who trapped her son. Then the private jet pilot who had been standing by the buffet table the whole night stepped forward. Before I tell you what he said, if you like these stories, please like and subscribe. Okay, let's start from the beginning. My name is Freya. I am 28 years old. I met Owen 3 years ago at a coffee shop. Not a nice one. The chain one near the train station that always smells a bit like burnt milk. He was nice. Normal. He worked in finance, but he never really talked about it much. We just clicked, you know? He proposed 6 months ago. Small thing. Just us and a park bench and a ring that was probably too expensive for what he should have spent, but I loved it anyway. I cried. Happy crying. The ugly kind. His family though. His family was different. His mother, Patricia, she had this way of looking at you. Like she was calculating something. Always. The first time I met her, she asked me where I went to university. I said I didn't. I went straight into work after school because my dad got sick and someone had to help with bills. She just nodded. Smiled. But her eyes went cold. Owen has a sister too. Lydia. She's 32. Works in marketing for some luxury brand I can't pronounce. She was always fine to me. Polite. But distant. Like I was temporary. The engagement party was Patricia's idea. She insisted. Said it had to be at their country club. Said she would handle everything. Owen asked me if I was okay with that, and I said yes, because what else do you say to your future mother-in-law? The party was on a Saturday. I wore a cream dress. Not white. I didn't want to look like I was trying too hard. My shoes were new and they hurt within the first 20 minutes, but I just smiled through it. There were maybe 40 people there. Owen's family. His colleagues. A few of his school friends. Only 3 people from my side. My best friend Hannah. My cousin. My mum. Dad couldn't come. He's still not great with crowds after the stroke. The venue was beautiful. All white tablecloths and those tall flower arrangements that look like they cost more than my rent. There was a string quartet playing in the corner. Soft music. The kind that makes you feel like you should whisper. I remember the tablecloth at our table had a tiny red wine stain near the edge. I kept staring at it, wondering if anyone else noticed. Wondering if Patricia would be upset about it later. The food was fancy. Little canapes with things I didn't recognize. I tried one with some kind of fish on it and it tasted like the sea, but in a bad way. I put it down on a napkin and just held my glass of champagne instead. I don't even like champagne. It makes my nose itch. Owen's hand was on my knee under the table. He kept squeezing it. I think he was nervous too. He gets this thing where he jiggles his leg when he's anxious, and I could feel it bouncing next to me. Patricia gave a speech first. She stood up with her glass and everyone went quiet. He talked about Owen. About how proud she was. About how he'd always been such a brilliant boy. She told this story about when he was 7 and won some chess competition. Everyone laughed. Then she looked at me. She said she was so happy Owen had found someone. That it was important to find a partner who would support him. She paused. Just for a second. Then she said she hoped I understood what a responsibility it was to marry into a family like theirs. The way she said responsibility. It wasn't kind. Hannah squeezed my hand under the table. Owen's face went a bit pink, but he didn't say anything. The food came out after that. Chicken. Tiny vegetables arranged in a little tower. I ate maybe half. My stomach felt tight. I went to the bathroom once, and when I came back I saw Patricia and Lydia talking in the corner. They stopped when they saw me. Smiled. I smiled back. There was a man by the buffet table the whole evening. Older. Maybe late 50s. He had gray hair and one of those faces that looked like he'd spent a lot of time outside. Tanned. Lines around his eyes. He was wearing a plain black suit. No tie. He looked a bit out of place actually. Like he didn't really want to be there. I assumed he was someone's +1. Maybe a colleague of Owen's. I didn't think much about it. The humiliation happened during dessert. They brought out this massive cake. 3 tiers. White icing with gold edges. It was beautiful. Too beautiful to eat really. Patricia stood up again. She tapped her glass with a fork and everyone stopped talking. She said she wanted to say a few more words. Owen looked at me. I could tell he wanted her to sit down, but he didn't say anything. She started off fine. Talking about marriage. About partnership. About how important it is to build a life with someone who shares your values. Then her voice changed. She said she had been thinking a lot lately. About what it means to welcome someone new into the family. She said it wasn't always easy. That sometimes people have different expectations. My stomach dropped. I already knew where this was going. You know that feeling? When you know something bad is coming and you just have to sit there and wait for it. She said she wanted to be honest. That honesty was important in family. Then she looked right at me and said I was a greedy little leech who had trapped her son. The room went so quiet I could hear someone's chair creak. She said I clearly saw an opportunity when I met Owen. That I had no education, no prospects, no real future. And now I was going to live off his hard work. She said it with a smile. Like she was stating a fact. Like she was talking about the weather. I felt my face go hot. Not angry hot. Embarrassed hot. The kind where you feel like everyone is staring at you and you just want to disappear. Hannah stood up but I grabbed her wrist. I shook my head. I didn't want a scene. Owen said, "Mom," but his voice was quiet. Too quiet. A few people laughed. That awful awkward laugh people do when they don't know what else to do. I just smiled. I don't know why. I think my face just did it automatically. I picked up my glass and took a sip even though my hand was shaking. Patricia sat down. Someone coughed. The string quartet started playing again. Lydia leaned over and whispered something to her mum. They both looked at me. Then looked away. I thought that was it. I thought I would just sit there for another hour and then go home and cry in the shower and maybe break up with Owen tomorrow. But then I noticed the man by the buffet table staring at me. Not staring. More like studying. His head was tilted a bit to the side. Like he was trying to figure something out. He looked confused. Genuinely confused. He took a sip of his drink. Put it down. Picked it up again. Everyone else had moved on. People were talking again. Eating cake. Pretending nothing had happened. But this man was still staring at me. I looked away. Back. He was still doing it. Then he stood up. He walked slowly to the middle of the room. Right next to Patricia's table. He didn't say anything at first. Just stood there. A few people noticed. Stopped talking. Looked at him. Owen leaned over and whispered, "Who is that?" I shook my head. I had no idea. The man cleared his throat. His voice was deep. "Come." He said, "Excuse me. Sorry to interrupt." Patricia looked up at him. She had this annoyed expression. Like he was a waiter who had gotten something wrong. He said, "I couldn't help but overhear what you just said." The room went quiet again. He looked at me. Then back at Patricia. He said, "You just called that woman a leech. Is that right?" Patricia blinked. "I'm sorry, who are you?" He said, "My name is Duncan. I'm a private pilot. I fly jets for charter clients. High net worth individuals mostly." Patricia's face was blank. She clearly had no idea why he was talking. Duncan looked at me again. He said, "I've been trying to place your face all night. I knew I recognized you. Took me a while." My heart started pounding. I had no idea what he was talking about. He said, "I flew you to Geneva 4 months ago. You and 2 other passengers. You didn't give your name. Just said to call you Miss L." I felt like the floor disappeared. He said, "You own the plane." The entire room went completely still. I couldn't breathe. Duncan looked around at everyone. He said, "The jet I fly isn't mine. I'm contracted by the owner. A private investor. Very private. I've been flying for her for 2 years and I've never met her face to face until tonight." He looked at Patricia. He said, "You just called my boss a leech." Owen turned to me. His face was white. "Freya, what is he talking about?" I didn't know what to say. Duncan said, "I probably shouldn't have said anything. Confidentiality and all that. But I couldn't just sit there and listen to that." He nodded at me. Then he walked out. No one said anything. Patricia's mouth was open. Lydia looked like she'd been slapped. I stood up. My legs felt like jelly. I picked up my bag. I didn't look at anyone. Owen said, "Freya, wait," but I just kept walking. Hannah followed me out. She didn't ask any questions. She just walked next to me. We got to the car park and I sat in my car for 10 minutes and cried. Not sad crying. Not really. Just this weird shaky kind of crying where you can't quite catch your breath. Hannah sat in the passenger seat and didn't say anything. She just handed me tissues. I inherited money when I was 23. My grandmother. She had investments no one knew about. It was a lot. Enough that I didn't have to work. But I wanted to. I didn't want to be the kind of person who just did nothing. I never told Owen. I didn't know how. And then it had been so long that it felt too late. No one apologized. Owen texted me later that night, but I didn't reply. Patricia never said a word. I don't know if we're still engaged. I think probably not. Sometimes people don't see you until someone else tells them to look.
So this was a new story for you guys from this channel. If you are sure that that was interesting, so please like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Thank you for watching.